All right, the political storm brewing out of Spalding County over the election has intensified and is now circling back to the Secretary of State. A self-described nonpartisan civil rights organization now demanding Brad Raffensperger to resign after he called for Spalding's first black elections director to step down. Mara Sirianni live outside the county's elections headquarters with more on the allegations tied to race here.
That's right. Members of the Urban Outreach Association are claiming this was a racially motivated move. They're firing back at the Secretary of State. However, Raffensperger says that this simply falls on counties to handle elections. And he says that Spalding officials here dropped the ball on this one. So as we reported earlier this week, Raffensperger called for Spalding County Board of Elections Director Marcia Ridley to resign. This stems from problems they had on the morning of November 3rd. Spalding County had some issues getting their voting systems up and running and claimed the workers incorrectly loaded information onto the poll pads. Well, the Secretary of State's office claims that was the result of a serious mismanagement issues and poor decision making on Ridley's behalf. Raffensperger says Ridley told elections workers to use provisional ballots instead of emergency ballots. He also says she spread false information by claiming the voting machines had been updated the night before. Ridley calling that accusation baseless. The situation is under investigation, but in the meantime, those community members are coming to her defense.
Once that investigation is completed, then we may know what happened, we may not know. But what we do know is the machines were not working. And we know that Ms. Ridley had nothing to do with the machines not working.
And Ridley had indicated that the board chair here in Spalding County, at least at this point, has no intention of asking her to step down again. This is still under investigation.
Mara,